I know your dirty little secret. That's right. I know that your desktop is a complete disaster zone. And it's embarrassing and you wish you could clean it up, but you don't really know where to start. My name's Stewart. They call me the MacWhisperer, and you are in luck because in today's video, I'm gonna teach you how to declutter that desktop. The desktop is one of the most valuable locations on our computer, but it kind of gets overlooked and taken for granted. You see, it was never meant to be where we stored all of our files perpetually. The intention was that the desktop was where you put the folders and files that you were in the middle of using for easy access so you could get into them while you were working on them. But then you were supposed to take them and file them long-term in your Documents folder or a Dropbox folder or some other location. But most people didn't do that because they didn't know how to do that. They didn't know how to create that logical file structure where they could put things away and be able to find them easily later. In today's video, I'm going to give you my 5-step solution on completely organizing and decluttering your desktop. And if you stick around until the end of the video, I'm going to share my MacWhisperer power tip that will make it easy for you to keep that desktop clean forever. So let's hop on in and let's get started. Now, as you look at this desktop, it might even give you some anxiety just seeing it on your screen. I'm sure your desktop is way better than this, right? Well, it doesn't really matter because the steps that we're going to walk through today are going to make your desktop look amazing no matter how chaotic it looks right now. The first thing we need to do is get rid of all of the files on our desktop that we don't need to keep. Because before we create a file structure and start moving things over, we should get rid of the things that don't belong here in the first place. Over the course of using your computer, you're downloading files and attachments and dragging things over your desktop that you don't really know you don't need. So I'm going to walk you through the most common files that you can just throw away right off the bat. To start off, let's come down to our dock and let's open up a Finder window because there's just no way I can organize this desktop with all those files on it. So if I come down to my dock and click on the Finder face here, it's going to open up a brand new Finder window. Now I want you to locate your desktop on the left sidebar here. It may be under the Favorites section, or it may be down below in the iCloud section. It's the same desktop regardless of where it is, so go ahead and click on it. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to change the way this Finder window looks so that we can find those files that we're going to get rid of. And the easiest way to do that is to change from the column view, which is this one here, over to the list view, which is this one right here. Now, once we've done that, we also need to do a little sorting and grouping. The sorting and grouping is done with this icon here. The first thing we're going to do is just click on it and group it by kind. This is going to clump together all of the different kinds of files that are on the desktop. Then we're going to hold down the Option button on our keyboard and come click on this icon again, which is going to allow us to change the sorting view. And let's change that to also be by kind. So now you'll see that folders and applications and documents are clumped together, and within each clump, they're also organized by kind, which is going to make it super simple for us to find what we're looking for. The first file type that we're going to look for is called an installer file. And installer files can look a couple of different ways, and they might have different extensions at the end of their name. One of them will say just install, like this one here. This is just the installer, meaning once you have installed Spotify, in this case, you don't really need this file anymore. So we're going to throw this one away. To throw files away from the Finder, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can either right-click on the file and choose Move to Trash. You can drag it to your trash icon over here, or my personal favorite key code, you can hold down the Command button and press the Delete key on your keyboard like this. And it immediately tosses that file away. Now let's go find the other installer files. As we scroll down, we're going to hit this section near the bottom called Other. And here's where we're going to find a chunk of these different installer types. One of them is called a zip file. And what a zip file is a compressed folder. When you open a zip file, there's a folder that comes out of it that you usually put away. If you find a zip folder, what you want to do is you want to double click on it so that it can expand into its folder. which will go up to the top in the folders section. And then you want to come right here and you want to go ahead and delete them. But we're not going to delete those alone yet because there's a lot of these file types. As we continue to scroll, we're going to see something called a PKG, which looks like an open box. Those are also installer files. And in this case, I've got like 10 copies of a Zoom installer sitting here on this desktop. I don't need 10 of them. I don't even need one of them. So we're going to get rid of that too. But as I continue to scroll down, I see another file type. And this one looks like a little hard drive. This is called a DMG file. And this is one of the most common installer files there is. We don't need any of them. So we're going to select all of them all at once and delete them in one fell swoop. And the way we're going to do that is by clicking on the first one up at the top here, holding down the Shift button on our keyboard, scrolling to the bottom and selecting the last one, and then letting go of the Shift button. That selects all of these files together. So now I can just hit Command Delete and get rid of them. Next, we're going to take care of these zip files. I already know that I've opened them up and I've taken the files out. If you're unsure, go ahead and open them, but then get rid of the zip file and we'll file the folders separately. Click on the first one, hold down the Shift key, click on the last one, and then Command Delete. That took care of a huge chunk of those files. Now, let's move into the second file type that we don't need, which is called a vCard or a VCF file. This is an address book card that's been shared with you. In most cases, these addresses are already in your address book. If you're not sure, go ahead and double click on it. That will open up your address book, and if it's a duplicate, it'll tell you. Once you have them all safely stored in your address book, you can click on the first one, hold the Shift button down, click on the last one, and then press Command Delete and get rid of those. The next file type we want to talk about is a saved web page, and there's two different ways these look. One of them is an HTML file like this. And the other one, which shows up in the Documents section, is called a web archive file. At some point you were on a browser and you wanted to save a web page, but unfortunately HTML files and web archive files aren't actually saved properly. They're links to the web page itself, which means if that web page changes or they move that article, that link isn't going to work. The correct way to save a web page is from Safari or your browser itself. I'm going to take this web archive and double click it so that it opens up in Safari. This gives me two separate ways I can save it. The first one is I can bookmark it by clicking on the bookmark menu and clicking Add Bookmark, which will leave it in Safari, which is usually where you should save your web pages. The other way to save it, in case this is an article or something you want to save, put in your files, and keep for later, is to go into the File menu and choose Export as PDF. This will save it in the proper format that will allow you to keep it forever. Once you've gone ahead and taken those web files or HTML files, if you need them, save them properly. If you don't need them, just delete them. And once that's done, you can select those items and get rid of them as well. And the last file type that we can just easily get rid of is a calendar event. As you can see right here, I have a number of ICS files. At some point I got invited to an event, and when I clicked that link, it downloaded this to my desktop. But that event is in the past. And I don't really need to keep this. It's almost always already in my calendar or irrelevant. So you can just get rid of that whole chunk of things too. Now let's step into step number 2. Step number 2 is cleaning up and sorting your desktop. Under the View menu of your desktop, you'll see the option to clean up. As you can see on my desktop, things are kind of clumped in different sections. This is going to spread them out across the desktop. I'm going to click Cleanup. Oh, it did a pretty decent job. It's almost manageable, but it's not really organized. And there are two different ways that you can organize it. You can either clean up by, and doing that will sort it by name or kind or date modified. And that can be an easy way to put your titles together or to put things that are recent together so that we can grab them in the next couple of steps to file them. Or you can click the Sort By section, and the Sort By section will do a similar thing of sorting your desktop in particular ways. In this case, I'm going to sort by name. And you'll see it moved everything around alphabetically so that all of the O's and the L's and the P's are clumped together, which in a lot of cases can help you find the files you're looking for. In step 3, we're going to take all of these files that we've got and we're going to put the majority of them into folders so that we can sort and organize them and put them away in step 4. It's a lot easier to create folders than you might think. One of my favorite tips for sorting and organizing is to select a number of files and create a folder with those files with a right click. To do that, we're going to need to select the files first. Here, I've got a number of email files that are all kind of right next to each other. So I'm going to use what's called the Lasso to select them. To get the Lasso, click away from an item. You'll notice my arrow is to the left of the email tip I want to grab. And then you're going to click and drag across all of those files. And as you do, you'll create a lasso. And as that lasso touches these items, it will highlight them. Notice that all of those emails are now highlighted. Unfortunately, there's 2 more over to the right that I also need to grab. For those, I'm going to hold down the Command button on my keyboard, which allows me to select individual items, just like that, to add them to the group that we've grabbed. Now, I can create a folder by putting my arrow on any one of the items and right-clicking on it and choosing New Folder. In this case, it's going to create a new folder with those 8 items, just like that. And as it does, it highlights the title of the folder so I can give it a new name right now. And as I title that folder, notice it reorganizes the entire desktop based on name again, because that's the way we've asked it to sort it. I'm going to change the sort to kind. Go up to the View menu. I'm going to sort by kind like this, and it's going to go ahead and put all of the similar files together so that all of my photos end up in one place, all of my PDFs end up in one place. Now, I'm going to grab these PDFs here, which all have to do with one specific project, and I'm going to right-click on them and create a new folder for those as well. And once I've titled that, it moves over, and now we're starting to make some real progress here. I'm going to highlight all of them just like this. And then I'm going to use the Command button to grab the stragglers, like this one, and these 2. And now I'm going to right-click on it and create another folder just like that. These are images. And now we're going to step into step number 4, which is where the magic really starts to happen. In step number 4, we're going to decide on a home for all of our stuff, because if you don't decide on one place for everything to be, it's just going to be scattered all over your computer. In my case, I'm going to file these into my Documents folder. Let's open up another Finder window by clicking on the Finder down below. And this time, I'm going to use a trick to open 2 separate side-by-side windows to make this a little easier. I'm going to grab this window by the far right corner and make it about half width like this. Now I'm going to open up a second Finder window by coming into the File menu here and choosing New Finder Window or Command N. This window can slide over to the right, allowing me to move between both the left and the right Finder window easily. I'm going to click right on the grouping button and change it to none. This gives me a nice long list of all of my files. The next thing I'm going to do is change the view from this list view over to the column view, which makes it easier for me to see everything. Now I've got one window on the left pointed to my desktop, and I'm going to take the window on the right and I'm going to point it at my Documents folder. Now I can begin to create files in the Documents folder for the different pieces to go into. This is where something that I call the 5-folder fix comes into play. Most people create tons and tons and tons of different folders, which can make it really convoluted and complicated to find what you're looking for. The 5-folder fix solves that by creating a handful of generic folders that everything can easily go inside of. And everyone will need different folders for the way they organize it. So think about what 5 folders might be able to encompass the majority of the things that you've got. Some of the simple files that I use are family or home, pets or travel, finances or work, personal or kids. It's whatever works for you. Whatever files you know you've got a lot of, you can come right in here and you can begin to create those separate files. So let's create a couple of them right now. I'm going to right-click in the Documents folder and I'm going to create a new file that is personal, and another new file that is work, and another new file that is home. Now, as I look at the things that are on my desktop, I see these email tips, and I know that those can just drag right into the work folder. And as I think about these images, I know those are personal. I can drop them over here. And when I think about my guitar project, that's also personal and can go over here. Now I have MacWhisperer files, and those can go into the work folder. But don't move all of your folders over to your documents. Make sure that the ones you're in the middle of working on, the projects that are current, stay on the desktop so you can easily get in and out of those without having to hunt for those files over in your Documents folder or your Dropbox folder. We've done some pretty good work here, so let's go ahead and close these windows and take a new look at our desktop. That's almost completely manageable. But there's one more step that we need to talk about to make sure you're able to easily keep things organized. Step number 5 is something called stacks. And stacks is a part of the Mac operating system that is made to keep your desktop organized by putting different kinds of things in certain stacks. It's easy to do by right-clicking right on your desktop and choosing Use Stacks. Now when I do this, you're going to see all of these files are going to move over like this. And when they do, they come into different sections, like here are my screenshots. And if I click on this stack of screenshots, it expands outwards to show me all of the separate screenshots. And if I click on it again, it closes. Here I can find all the images that I'm currently working on, or all of the music files that I have, or all of the PDF documents that I'm in the middle of processing. By using stacks, you can keep a number of files on your desktop without it getting too overwhelming. And you can always close them down to just make it streamlined, decluttered, and organized. And stacks can be customized in a couple of different ways. Right-click on your desktop again, and you'll see Group Stacks By as an option. I like grouping stacks by kind because it puts similar files right next to each other, but maybe you'd rather do it by date modified. This will automatically organize things by the files you worked on today, or in the last week, or in the last 30 days, or in prior months or prior years. That can be really, really helpful if you want to keep track of the newest files and have them right at your fingertips. However you want to sort your stacks is up to you. I like kind, but it's really your choice. And it makes it easy to create new files, new projects, and stay on top of the things that you're working on without losing your mind hunting down all those little pieces. So that's my 5-step process. In a moment, I'm going to tell you my MacWhisperer power tip, which is a complete game changer and will make it so easy for you to keep organized as you move things forward with this new system. But before I do, if you've gotten great value and learned something new about your computer, give this video a thumbs up. That makes it so much easier for other people to find it. And if I left something out or you've got a question, just drop it in the comments section. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, this is a great time to do that. Hit the subscription button and that notify bell to make sure that you're always notified whenever I drop new content. Now, let's talk about that MacWhisperer power tip. One of the challenges of putting all of your folders away in the Documents folder or in your Dropbox folders is that sometimes you need quick access to them. And it's a lot of steps to go back into the Finder every time and go into Documents and find the right file that you're looking for and grab it. The solution to that is something called aliases or shortcuts. It's really the same concept. Basically, I want this file to live in Documents. But I need quick access to that guitar project because as I generate new files, I want to easily drop them into the guitar project. And these images, they're great to have off to the side, but sometimes I need to access them or add new images in. So there's a couple of easy ways to do that. The first one is just creating an alias on your desktop. Creating an alias is really easy to do. You're going to hold your Command and Option buttons down on your keyboard. And while you're holding them, you're going to take the folder you want an alias for and drag it to the location where you want the alias. In this case, I want the images file to be on my desktop. So while holding those 2 buttons down, all I have to do is drag them. And I want you to notice the curved arrow icon that shows up on that folder. When I let it go, you'll see that that folder is now on my desktop with that little arrow. That means that it's an alias, not an actual folder. And aliases work just like standard folders. So I'm going to go ahead and close this window. And if I need to drag a file like this into the images folder, I can just drag it right in. Which means that my files are stored where they're supposed to be in the Documents folder, but I have quick and easy access to them right on the desktop. And if I need to get into that folder, all I have to do is double click on it and it opens right up, allowing me to access it without hunting it down. And when that project's completed and you don't need it on your desktop any longer, you can just take that alias folder and drag it right to the trash. And you don't have to worry that the files are gone because the files are still in your Documents folder right where you left them. An alias is just a shortcut. There's two other places that I like putting aliases, and one of them is on the sidebar on the left side. If there's a project that you're in and out of all the time, to make things easy, take that folder and just drag it into the favorites section on the left sidebar of your Finder window. That means anytime you need it, it's just one click away and you can easily get into it or drag things into it. And the other place that I use aliases and shortcuts all the time is on the dock. You see, the right side of the dock over here is where folders can live. So if there's a folder that you need regular access to, simply drag that folder right down to the right side of your dock and put it right there. When you first drop something on the dock, it may look a little funny like this does. You can easily right-click on a folder on the dock and choose how you want it to look by changing it to Display as Folder. I also like to change it to View Contents as List, which means that when I click it, it just shows up in a nice, easy list, and I can open things right from the dock. And the most valuable thing about opening things from the dock is sometimes you can't see your desktop. So having those folders easily accessible on the dock saves you time and makes it simpler to get into the things that you're using. So that's what I've got for how to declutter your desktop. I hope you learned something new and got great value out of today's video. My name's Dylan Stewart. They call me the MacWhisperer, and it's my passion and profession to help you get more done on your Apple products than you ever thought possible. And I'll see you next time.